Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports, and a very special Creature Commandos finale and Skeleton Crew penultimate edition of My Mom's Basement. So it's a big episode. I feel like we didn't even realize that this was going to be the finale episode. We would have mentioned we were watching the Creature Commandos penultimate last week, but who does a show with 7 episodes? Usually it's 6 or 8, doing an odd number. But hey, James Gunn is an odd guy, and I can't complain because the show is pretty damn good. Clem, how we doing?
Bob, you know what my theory is when a show has a weird number of episodes. What are we going to get next week on Thursday morning?
Maybe a secret episode?
Maybe a secret episode. It's in the realm of possibilities, is it not?
Yeah.
It would be a doozy to follow up the finale episode, which wrapped a lot of things up. But if one person could do it, it's old Jimmy Gunn himself. I mean, Jim, come on. If you haven't done it, just get to the drawing board and get it out there because you want to get people talking. Secret episodes are going to get people talking.
Secret episodes would have the whole world talking. I mean, for the Sandman, they did the secret episode. Listen, I know the Sandman is one of the most critically acclaimed comics of all time. I know people enjoyed the show, but it certainly wasn't a show that had the world talking until the secret episode. And we were all like, holy shit, everyone's posting about it. It made me want to watch the show just so I could have been there for the moment one finally dropped. We texted each other like, God damn, the one comic book show we didn't watch did it.
We've been talking secret episodes forever. I mean, I think it really got turned up to another level. I feel like WandaVision is when we were, which is like you look back, we were in COVID brain state, just looking for any.
And we were in denial. We were like, but Boner can't be the finale, right? That can't be how that awesome show ended.
Oh my God. But hey, listen, hand up. This is on us. Didn't realize it was the finale this week. Didn't realize the Golden Globes were coming up in like 2 days after we recorded. A lot of things snuck up on us. And hey, listen, for the common man, by the common man makes common mistakes. And that's 2 very obvious common mistakes. I'm sure there was countdowns on certain nerd podcasts breaking down Golden Globe nominees and how the Penguin can sweep, yada, yada, yada. Creature Commandos breaking down what's going to happen in the episode. We're just flying by the seat of our pants, which is when we actually get stuff right and make predictions. It feels like a miracle because we're stupid.
Yeah. So you mentioned the Golden Globes snuck up on us. We didn't even mention on the last episode that the Golden Globes were happening because we didn't know the Golden Globes were happening. I realized, I think I saw a commercial or something and I was like, oh shit, Golden Globes are coming up. And I know people roll their eyes at award shows, but I actually get excited for the Golden Globes. It's the one where everyone gets drunk together. Celebrities are sitting at tables. You see odd connections of celebrities. This year I saw Harrison Ford went over and introduced himself to Timothée Chalamet. And I'm like, holy shit, this is one of the all-time GOATs with one of the future GOATs. There's cool moments like that at the Golden Globes. Obviously, Ricky Gervais roasted the room for 10 years in a row. People love that. So I said, screw it. I'm excited for the Golden Globes. Also, because I know the Penguin's nominated for a few, and we've been flying this flag, waving the flag. The Penguin should win every award it's nominated for. So I look up. There's odds sometimes for Golden Globes. There usually is for Oscars. Golden Globes is more shady. So I try to look up who the favorites are. And I noticed the Penguin is a heavy underdog for all 3 awards it's nominated for. It was Best Actor, Colin Farrell for a limited series, Best Actress, Kristen Milioti, and Best Limited Series itself, The Penguin. I look at this and I'm stunned to find out the Baby Reindeer Show, which is a dark, twisted show. It's a true story about a stalker. The guy who wrote it plays himself in the story of his own life. Baby Reindeer's the favorite for Best Show. Baby Reindeer, the lead actor's favorite for Best Actor. And for Best Actress, Clem, it was Jodie Foster for True Detective Night Country, a season that we watched, and at the time we were trying to give it the benefit of the doubt throughout the season, I would say, where we were like, all right, this could have a cool payoff, cool concept, the whole night country thing. It's 14 days a night or however many days a night. I forget. By the end, I think we regretted giving it the benefit of the doubt because that finale stunk out loud. Oh, it was disgusting. It made us regret watching the show. The fact that she was the favorite stunned me. The fact that she won disgusted me. It made me think the Golden Globes are a sham, to the point where, we got our Colin Farrell win. That was a shock. The underdog pulled through. It made me think, are we stopping the steal here? But in the end, the Penguin didn't win. Kristen didn't win. Hopefully the Emmys get it right. But the Golden Globes, for me, they're a bit of a sham.
I was going to say, Bob, you just let me know where we stand as an army against the Golden Globes. Are we embracing them because Colin Farrell got his hardware, or are they enemies of the state because obviously the other two didn't win, our girl Christina, and then obviously the show. So I guess they're enemies. That's fine. I'm basically at the point with award shows where I'll just get behind my people and fight them if I have to fight them. I told you, I think I've said on the show, ever since once The Wire didn't get nominated for any Emmys for almost its entire run, and they got 1 or 2 in the last season, I was like, that award show's done to me. Oscars still kind of moves the needle, but there's been so much just stupidity that have been running all these award shows. Grammys, you can lump them in. Yeah, in a weird way, I feel like the VMAs are probably the most fair awards of all, and I think they're still going on. I don't know, but that so this is the thing, the Jodie Foster thing. I forgot that show happened. After we would watch that every week and talk about it on here, I think that was when I started to actually break about having to do recaps every week. And a lot of the shows that we kind of skipped or perused through in the last year, I think it was set up from that show. Because I remember being like, I can't believe I have to do this. That felt like eating your vegetables while going to class, while scrubbing the toilets. It was work on work on work. It should never feel like work here. We live in fantasy land, and that was awful. I will say this, however. I like Jodie Foster in the show, but I just hated the show so much. Maybe it's because she talked about fantasy football a lot. Honestly, that might have been the reason I liked her in the show.
I didn't think she was bad, too, because we talked about that as we were recapping it with Frankie Borelli, I think, tweeted she's giving the worst performance I've ever seen in anything. And we kind of defended her. We were like, all right, the show might not be great, but she's fun. I still think Jodie Foster gave a good performance in True Detective, but there's nothing memorable from her performance. We can't look back at that season and be like, do you remember that monologue she gave with the fucking when there was icicles? I don't fucking remember her monologues. Kristen Milioti, maybe it's because it's more recent. I don't think so, though. I think it's just because it was such a more memorable performance. The range she showed in just that episode 4 alone, her backstory from when she's at the fundraiser to when she's at Arkham broken and then gassing the whole house, that was a performance that deserved awards. She deserved to get up on stage and make a speech just like Colin Farrell did. I was happy to see she took a picture with Zoe Kravitz, and Zoe Kravitz posted the half sisters picture. I was hoping, knowing they were in the same room, that Matt Reeves would have the sense to introduce these two and get a picture to get all the fans excited for the potential of their characters. But yeah, I think getting 1 out of the 3, if we would have got 2 out of the 3, the Golden Globes would have been like, all right, you made a mistake, but you got 2 things right. This was just, you get 1 out of the 3. I said in my blog, I feel like the voters didn't even watch The Penguin. I feel like they looked at the thing. They said, there's a comic book show here. I know it's getting love, but Jodie Foster, she's a legacy actress. Check the box.
Legacy actress. Oh, and did you guys see True Detective 1? That was awesome. It's that was a long time ago.
Yeah, must be great. True Detective, right? Check. They're lazy.
Oh, God. Yeah. So, enemies of the state. They are enemies of the state.
Enemies of the state.
I said it last night. Abdul Carter, the guy who wore the Darth Vader eye black, is the official athlete of the year of the basement.
That was awesome.
I now want the Giants to draft him. He tweeted out the picture of Darth Vader in his back to tank on Mustafar.
I saw that, and Connor Griffin was tweeting he tweeted the whole explanation for it. Did you see that? That was good.
That was awesome. So I'm like, oh, this guy. Yeah, when you're going, I'm Darth Vader, and I'm not just Darth Vader because I'm going to kill you. It's because I'm fucking in the back to tank.
He's like, now I'm healing.
Nerd shit right there. So we are big fans of Abdul Carter.
My mom's basement athlete of the week, the year so far, we could say.
He's the reigning. So he has the throne.
He's got the title. Yeah.
And he gets it. If he goes unopposed next week, he goes unopposed next week. But, I know every week you're going to kind of try to get Jaden on there. I'm not going to let Jaden just take it. He's going to have to wear some sort of Superman socks or something like that.
Oh, can I show my Jaden shirt on the podcast? I just want to show
the Jaden shirt on the podcast. If the Giants get Abdul Carter, however, which is part of the reason I'm doing this, because there is a chance if they decide just to ignore quarterback for some reason, they could get Abdul Carter at 3. So I might have Abdul Carter on my team.
This was such a fire Christmas gift from Lady Fox. She said she looked on NFL Shop and didn't see anything that was something that maybe I would wear, which makes sense. I'm wearing a lot of black band t-shirts all the time. So this is the Jaden shirt she found.
Oh, wow.
It was like bleached in Thailand.
Bleached in Thailand. That is that.
Yeah.
You know what? Hashtag for the week. Hashtag bleached in Thailand. That is,
That's my band name. Yeah. You mentioned Star Wars. It's a good transition to mention we have a huge recasting in Star Wars. Baylan Skoll, originally played by Ray Stevenson in Ahsoka. One of our favorite parts of that show, if not our absolute favorite part of that show. We were just texting about him last night, and I said he did so much with so little. If we look back, he probably didn't have that much screen time in relation to other characters in Star Wars shows we've recapped, but he was so goddamn memorable, so good every second he was on screen. Unfortunately, he passed away before Ahsoka even aired season 1. We knew his character being as big as the character was, and them leaving a cliffhanger on his character, they'd probably have to recast him, and they've apparently made that recasting. He will now be played by Ray Stevenson's friend in real life, Rory McCann, who you probably know as the Hound in Game of Thrones. If you look at pictures side by side, Clem said last night to me, he's like, I'd like to see what he looked like when he's not the Hound. And I agreed. I had to Google pictures of him because you picture him with half of his face burnt off. When you look side by side, I can definitely see it. I could see, if they dye his beard gray, that this will work. We know from Game of Thrones that he is a top tier actor. Another guy, the Hound, similar in that, we got a lot of the Hound in Game of Thrones, especially by the end of the series, but he was always able to do so much with so little. Any little scene the Hound was in, he was a fan favorite. So I actually have a lot of faith in this recasting. I think this was probably a very good recasting, and probably one they thought about a lot.
Yeah, it's going to be really hard to, again, if we see him, there's a chance you'll be like, wait a minute, I think that's that. Like if I hadn't known it going in. Mm-hmm. But it's just going to be so hard to get over that's the Hound. But I said that about Carcetti as Littlefinger. Now that motherfucker is Littlefinger for the rest of his life. The thing about the Hound, too, is like you always liked the Hound, but you never were sure just how much you could trust the Hound. And that's kind of like the character was in the show, right?
Yeah.
I said he was like the gray Jedi we've been looking for that isn't just straight dark side, but isn't straight light side. He's kind of a mix of the two. And that's kind of what the Hound was in Game of Thrones. So I like it on that sense as well. So, the fact that they're friends, obviously he's going to want to crush the role. It just bummed me out too, man. That guy was my favorite character in Ahsoka. I liked it a lot less than you did that season. So to lose my favorite part is kind of tough. You know me. Usually it's the droids and the ships that I go towards. The one time I fall in love with a human actor, motherfucker dies. So tough.
Sad stuff, but hopefully they're getting season 2 of Ahsoka under wraps soon. I texted Jeff D'Lo. That show Slow Horses on Apple TV. I just saw another story about them. It's like they're filming season 6 right now. Season 5's not even out yet. And I'm like, God damn, when Slow Horses wraps up, Marvel and Star Wars better get into a bidding war with the showrunners of that show because they're able to just produce quality TV, constantly getting nominated for awards season after season after season. Like that. It's like, what is taking? So I guess the CGI and shit with Marvel and Star Wars takes a lot longer, but god damn, just write some shows that feature less CGI.
It shouldn't be that hard. It just shouldn't be.
Yeah. All right, let's talk about a show that features a lot of CGI, but a good show, Skeleton Crew. The penultimate episode aired this week. We're going to be in so much trouble was the episode title. And when you read that, you probably think, all right, they're going to make it back to Ad-Atten this week. Even though we've never heard of no Ad-Atten, or I don't heard of no Ad-Atten. We're thinking you got to make it back because they're going to think that with their parents. Oh, fuck, after going on this crazy field trip.
Been there, Bob, right? Been there before.
Been there, done that. And actually, not really. I was not really a troublemaker as a kid. Maybe like my sister, she would be the one like sneaking out her window to go to a party. Not Robbie Fox. I was in the basement writing blogs.
The little halo above your head in the old pictures does kind of check out on this. And I'll be honest, I was the same way, maybe around end of high school, college, a little bit, but even then, out of all my friends, easily just two little angels here in the basement, just two good kids. That's what we're all about here.
Come on. It's not like my mom's out of town and I threw a party. It's my mom's basement. So this one actually does begin with the parents, though. They're trying to send a signal up through the barrier, and it looks cool, like Star Warsy, but also DIY makeshift, the little thing that they send up, the little parachute thing. Like looking at it, I was like, all right, I could believe that parents made that in Star Wars. There's also, you think there's something more to the parents? I don't know about all of them. Maybe Wim's dad. Seems like they have a lot of knowledge on this planet. Obviously, they know more than the kids about what AT-ATN is, but like, do any of the parents have like a combat backstory or something more to their character like that?
Bob, I'm happy you asked that question because my first note here, the elephant mom is on the motherfucking sus list. She is number one on the sus list right now. And it's only because she was the last one to show up. But then as soon as she shows up, all the droids show up. That could be
Yeah,
a
they
little
get
bit of a
caught.
reach. But I was going into that being like, all right, I'm going to throw one of these motherfuckers on the sus list. And as soon as she shows up, the entire plan goes awry. So I'm throwing, that is Neil's mom, right? So
Yes, Neil's mom, yeah.
it could be the family, it could be the mom. There's been a lot of elephant,
No, not the whole family. Come on, don't throw the whole family on the sus list.
Okay, I'm not going to throw the kids. I'll throw the mom and the dad. Like I'm just saying,
Right.
it might not be the mom, it might be the dad. Then
The dad might be in on
dropping the dime on the mom, and then that's how everything goes. But I'm saying if one of the kids' parents has been, sabotaging this from the backside, I'm gonna blame Neil's parents. Just letting it be known now. I'm throwing it out there. Hey, I've been very wrong before. I've sussless dead dogs, dead people.
Yeah.
It looks bad, but I'm sticking to it. Now, just remember now. Remember now after the finale.
Dead elephants now. Like we'll see what happens in the finale.
And Bob, you know my thoughts about Max Rebo. I know they're not the same species. Yeah. Blah blah fucking blah.
You're not a fan.
That guy is sus as shit. 2 mass casualty events. That dude just happened to be there. Fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, ain't gonna fool me again.
Yeah, that's a tough one for the Rebo stance to try to defend, if we're being honest. We're all fans of the band, but we're like, you got to separate the art from the artist. You know what I mean? Wim realizes he's got to go back to real life, and he's kind of bummed out. He's like, fuck, I'm going to have to go take that test when I get back to real life. God damn, I love Wim. He's the most relatable Star Wars character maybe of all time, because he's a kid who's a Star Wars fan who is totally scared the second he goes on this journey, until he realizes he's going to have to go back and take like a Scantron test. And he's like, fuck it. Let's stay in space. I was like, all right, Wim is me as a kid. The writing on it is fantastic.
He's a literal basement boy. He's a basement child, basement kid, if you want
to call it. Basement boy of the week, Wim.
Fuck it. Basement boy of the week. Just for being like, I don't want to take that test. Because when you're in the basement and you're watching The Simpsons or you're playing your 64 or whatever you're doing, and that was always the thing. And that was like a Freudian slip in my head. As soon as The Simpsons was over, 8:30 p.m., that's when it was like, fuck, I got school tomorrow.
The scaries hit.
All the homework, that's when the scaries hit like a ton of bricks, a lightsaber to the gut. You survived it because you can survive lightsabers to the gut, but you knew it wasn't going to be fun getting there.
So then the pirates that are with Jod, they have Jod captive. They find AT-ATN, but they're looking at it, and it's this massive green gas planet, and they're like, yeah, he led us astray here. That ain't fucking AT-ATN. There's no way he's trying to kill us. The coolest thing I saw, I think I retweeted it last night, the way that they did this, they had AT-ATN as a matte painting that they animated. So this is total old school original trilogy Star Wars shit. They somehow painted the planet and then like animated the painting to look like this gas planet. And the visuals were sweet. Even the outside of it was very cool. It looked different. But when they're actually going in and you're seeing all of like the signals or the transmitters, the jammers, whatever they were in the green smoke and everything, I thought it looked so cool, so unique for Star Wars. But they see the kid's ship and they're able to tractor beam that in and understand, okay, maybe if we get that ship, that's the key to getting in AT-ATN. Another moment where I was like, God damn, the ship design on this show is also cool. The pirate ship being this big, long thing that could suck the kid ship in. The Onyx Cinder looked cool and Millennium Falcon-y kind of in the beginning. And now that it's shed its skin, it looks like something that would almost be on Naboo in episode 1. Yes. It's so shiny and sleek. And I really dig that. And I liked all of the pirate scenes we got this season. I don't know how many more we'll get in the finale where they left it off, but I was happy to see Urkel got another scene for his reel this week.
Yep. Pirates were good, kept it going the whole time, and they'll be heard from again, I imagine, at some point. How and how long, we're not sure. But man, I just want to say to like Clem of last year or the year before, and we would just say, like, guys, expand your horizons, go to different planets, make them cool, make them different. And then we kind of got that with Acolyte, but it wasn't what we wanted, and they didn't expand on it. This is exactly what we were looking, a treasure planet. And obviously we had the other planets that were cool, but then you had the treasure, but then even the way that they hit it there, and then you're looking at all the different technology that they're using for the storms and all that shit. I thought the dude was flying back too. I thought he was going to get down and be like, nope, clear. It's clear after here, Skip. Nope, it'll murder your ass if it doesn't want you down there. And this was everything. Not everything we've been asking for as Star Wars fans, but that was a good chunk of what we've been asking for in terms of different planets, unique stuff. Like, just be creative, think about it.
It's very creative. Even like just the fact that pirates are now a big thing to think about in the live action Star Wars universe. I know they've existed in cartoons and comics and video games, and we have factions like that, but it feels like a new thing to introduce to this right now. We've always had gangs and gangsters like the Hutts and stuff like that, but now it's like, oh, we got to think about pirates. Oh, pirates might be boarding the ship. Like, that's just cool to think about in Star Wars. The Bank Planet, like, that's fucking cool. There's got to be a Star Wars mint. It was something that I think a lot of Last Jedi haters even kind of liked, the scene where DJ was like, hey, check this out. The same people are making these weapons and the manufacturers, and the same people are causing this war to be cyclical and continue. And this is a never ending war because, like real life, it's like wars. And it's like, I want to learn. I wish The Last Jedi went more into the arms dealers. Like, who is funding the Star Wars? That stuff is very interesting to me. And this kind of touches on that with like the Bank Planet. I think it'll touch on it more in the finale.
I think a lot of the stuff in the sequels and the prequels that people didn't, or there was a lot of stuff in the sequels and the prequels people didn't like, but there was stuff like the whole, how the clones were made and the stormtroopers and all that kind of stuff.
That was
and
cool.
It was done on secret. And then obviously Order 66. And it's like, there is cool shit there. There's a lot of stuff that was around that cool stuff that kind of just fell apart. And that is another example of it. But we haven't had that in this series, every episode we've enjoyed. I've looked forward to it, and we keep getting new parts of the mystery. And I'm telling you, when we find out one of those Elven motherfuckers was the problem, there have been a thorn in our side the whole time. That's going to be the final reveal.
Well, the best scene of the episode, in my opinion, just in terms of keeping us guessing, the kids are able to claw up, what's his name? Brutus. The wolf pirate. They claw him up almost like it's a claw machine, and he's just hanging there, and they're like, get away from the ship or we're going to friggin' not let this guy go. And Jaw just picks up a gun and executes him on the spot in cold blood. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, it made me say out loud, like, oh my God. And it made me realize in that moment, our prediction in the beginning was wrong. We were like, oh, I said myself, I'd bet my life that this ends with, he steals the money, but comes back and saves the kids in the end. And they're just doing Han Solo all over again. This guy's a fucking villain. They were trying to tell us the entire series, this is a bad guy. The owl was trying to tell us. We didn't listen to the owl. We should have been listening to the owl.
It's like, oh, but he did Jedi stuff. No, he did Force stuff. Plenty of good bad guys could do Force stuff. We had the fucking radar up on the Penguin from day one, and you were the one who was telling me, you go, look, Victor, he ain't long for this. And I was like, I don't want to believe that. Not much. No. Like, he's playing Dolly Parton. You can't listen to Dolly Parton and be a bad person in your core of your soul. That one was a good call by you. This one, and Bob, I wrote the exact words that you just said down. I took the old Rick James. That was cold-blooded. I mean, because Brutus, he talked a big game and he was monologuing his ass off. And granted, he would have killed Jod like 5 different times if Jod didn't speak his way out of it, or the crew didn't kind of be like, well, hold on a sec, boss. He's just like, fuck, this guy's going to kill me. I got to get him first. And I actually appreciated that about Jod. It's like, I want a guy who's going to be a villain. I don't know what's going to happen in the next episode with him, but he seems like he's pretty much greedy as a motherfucker. He doesn't strike me as a guy who's going to, help anyone else out but himself.
No, I feel like he's the kind of guy we got to put in some kind of space jail, and then maybe he shows back up in like the Mando movie or something like that as like, we can't trust this guy, but we might need his help to get out of a planet or something.
We were talking a little Thrones. I'm thinking maybe, he's one of my favorite dudes on there too, and I'm blanking on his name. Who is the dude that always helped Tyrion out?
I don't know. It's been so long since I watched the original series. The names are tough.
Fuck, god damn it. His mercenary
Someone's listening to this.
Bronn of the
Ron.
Blackwater. That's
There
a
you
little
go.
bit of Jod there, right? It's like,
Yeah.
Bronn, you're like, that's my dude. I love Bronn. And then Bronn would just like murder someone who's you like. You're like, what the fuck was that, Bronn? It's like, I told you, I'm just about the straight cash, homie. Jod's the same way. And it's just we want to make him better than he is. And he's not that dude, but it's like you kind of love him. Like if Jod does bad shit in the season finale here, and then we see him in Mando, I'm still going to be excited to see him. Right?
Yeah, Jude Law is great casting because he's kind of that. He's cool. He's got that swagger. You want to like him. Yeah.
He plays the pirate very well.
He does, and he keeps the kids hostage on board. He puts the mask back on, which is fucking cool. It has kind of a triangle top, looks like a pirate hat on the top of the mask and everything. And the kids hear messages from their parents in another scene that I swear might have been in like the Jimmy Neutron movie or something. It reminded me of like a kid's movie, but in a good way. They all realize, oh, their parents love them and they want to get back to their parents and whatnot. And they try to attack. It doesn't work. Again, I liked that. It was a trope shut down of the kids aren't just going to run in, attack, and it's going to be great. Then SM-33 kind of decides whose side he's going to be on. The kids call unclaimsies. They're like, unclaimsies. And he's like, it doesn't work like that, kids. And SM-33 comes out of nowhere, decks Jod in the face. He's like, it's close enough. So SM-33 comes through clutch yet again. Great robot, great droid in Star Wars. We haven't gotten kind of the droid with the worm in his eye type deal before. So they made him unique as well. I liked the scene, again, where they head through the barrier. They find the planet. All of that, great stuff. SM-33, again, by the end of the episode, is killed. But, like, he'll be back, right? He's kind of our Kenny from South Park at this point. You killed SM-33, you bastard.
I mean, this might have been the third time I've written this in my notes. R.I.P. my dog, SM-33. I hope I can write that again one day because it means he's come back.
Yeah.
I don't want him to keep dying. I don't want him to become Kenny from South Park because it was like my notes, 33 fucking rocks. I love this guy. R.I.P. my dog, SM-33. I feel like that's every week at this point, right? But like straight now, listen, beheading. If it wasn't a robot, I'd be like, he's cooked. I feel like you get a couple. I mean, we just saw
solder that back on.
Yeah, fucking Wim was just melting wires and putting
IG-11. We put him back together. We thought that guy was exploded into a trillion pieces.
The Baby Yoda yes/no scene.
So good.
It's so fucking good. It plays.
They made a figure out of that I've seen pictures of. I think I want that figure.
Does it talk?
Figure. No, I don't think it talks, but it's because it's like a normal figure, but you could slide Baby Yoda into IG-11. It's sick. It's awesome. And it comes with the little fucking babus too.
Oh my God, Bob, you're speaking my language here right now. I'm going to have, if there's one that speaks, I will buy it because that is something that in my house, the kids just go, I had it on the iPad. It was the one thing on Safari. I would just keep that page up and they would just go, yes, yes, no, no, no. We would just do it for hours. So I will fuck with that. Oh man.
They go to the planet. They convince the planet that Jod is an emissary. And he's brought to the mint. We see the mint, almost Raiders of the Lost Ark style, like that room with all the crates, but it's gold. It's straight gold. He's like, how many more of these do you have? They say like 1,139, I think, which I was surprised because the THX 1138 is a thing. So they're like one number off from that. Little nod for the Lucasfilm nerds out there. The one weird scene this episode that me and Kenjack talked about, such a nitpick. It really doesn't matter at all to the episode. When he finds the gold and he grabs it and it's all falling on him. Did you notice all the gold was CGI?
I did not. No, I don't know.
Okay, both of us noticed all the blocks, that are falling on him and he's into his hands and he's like Scrooge McDuck scene, kind of that vibe. They were all CGI and I was like, why would they do that? Like it looked good, but it confused me because I was like, what's the point of CGIing metal blocks?
That's a fair point. I thought you were going to say, I feel like it was way too easy for him to get all the way down there past security.
True. It did seem easy. They didn't like ID check him at all.
Yeah. I feel like he's getting melted or something. Like something
and
bad.
Also the droids knew the kids were reported missing. He's like, I found these kids. And they're like, it's illegal to go outside the barrier. Then they're like, the kids were reported missing. So we're going to alert their parents. And like, at that point, don't you like say like, oh, like maybe this guy was bad.
Oh, Mr. Emissary, fucking red carpet right here. Yeah.
Yeah. What the fuck? They thought he was Epstein?
The financier? The financier?
The New York financier? And the kids do reunite with their parents, but it's short-lived because Jod pulls the lightsaber on him. And I loved this moment for two reasons: the final shot and the music in the final 2 seconds of the episode felt so Star Wars to me. It was insane. The final shot was that sideways landscape, almost like a Mortal Kombat style view of they're on this bridge, which always bridges in Star Wars, bad news, almost that Kylo Ren Han Solo final moment, or going back to Empire Strikes Back when Luke is crawling out onto the thing in Cloud City. And the music crescendo was also almost Kylo Ren-esque. It almost reminded me of that moment in The Force Awakens, but awesome way to leave a cliffhanger on the penultimate episode where it's like, oh, this kind of feels like the third act of the movie is it's about to end right now. So knowing we have an entire finale ahead of us next week, I'm very excited.
Very excited. If this had been a movie, I would have left the movie very happy.
Yeah.
I would have probably gone in kicking and screaming, being like, got to do this for work, or I take the kids hoping they're going to enjoy it. And I would have at this point been like, man, money well spent, right?
Yeah. This is like a fun show that when it's all wrapped up, as long as the finale is good and they land the plane, they land the starship, whatever you want to say, it's going to be one of those things that I'll recommend to any Star Wars fan with kids. It might not be for everybody. It might not be for every jaded Star Wars fan out there that's just like a 34-year-old dude that loves fucking Empire Strikes Back and Andor. But if you have kids, this seems like perfect, fun Star Wars to get them intrigued in the universe, get them fascinated in the galaxy far, far away. It's like perfect. It's like a great family show, which that's what Star Wars originally was.
Yeah, people forget that that's what it was, a kids movie.
That's who this is made for. Yeah, we want the next generation to be interested in Star Wars, and this could be a good step in that.
And then think of Ahsoka. It's like, well, they have space whales that they're traveling with. It's like, that's heady. A guy like me was not ready for that. If I had watched this, I would have been like, this was kind of the Star Wars I fell in love with. It was much different.
This is almost the opposite. It's like, we have buses and schools and suburbs and things you recognize.
I mean, you called it from day one. I know it was a very common tagline, but it is Goonies for Star Wars.
It's the Goonies, and totally.
It doesn't just diminish Goonies, and it doesn't diminish Star Wars by lumping them together. It is perfect for
feels
both
like
those
such
franchises.
An homage. It feels like they wear that on their sleeve and they're acknowledging, like we talked about John Watts, this fucking guy. He has the sauce. He went into Spider-Man and did John Hughes Spider-Man, and now he's doing Steven Spielberg Star Wars. Like, he's able to take the old, mix it with the new, translate it for a new generation. I know people will clown him for the way that Spider-Man No Way Home looks, because half the scenes they had to film against a green screen because they're in the middle of COVID and trying to keep these crazy secrets. But I really think John Watts, he has the sauce. I'm telling you.
So we have a so if we have a sign in the basement,
yeah,
John Watts has the sauce, and the sign is on now. All right, we're turning it on.
And
it's on.
It's on for next week's episode, which he's directing as well. He did the first episode and the last episode. So it's like, it's on for WrestleMania of John Watts has the sauce signs.
Wow. Now, the only way this sign that we just got in the basement, it's brand new. You can still smell, like, has like a couple pieces of styrofoam on it still, you know?
Yeah.
You can pack those things very carefully. It's neon and all that. It's on. We've turned it on now, Bob. Next week, and this wasn't even something that could happen in my mind, but next week, if he flops and does not land it, it's going in the garbage. The
sign's off the wall. Not only is it off, unplug it, take it down. Yeah, we're putting in we're hammering in new holes into the sheetrock for John Watts this week. He better not make us regret that.
At best case scenario for that sign, if he flops next week, it goes in the garage, not the basement, the garage.
Yes.
And it just sits there. Worst case, you can't throw something like that out. It's probably like illegal. There's probably some chemicals in it. Facebook Marketplace. And we're putting it up. I know it's not going to go there, but it's going to sit in the garage in a carton for the rest of its days. So, John Watts, you have a sign that says you have the sauce. I want to see if you can get that.
You've got the sign. There's not many signs in the basement. Like we trust
No,
the Reeves, we trust the Feige, we trust the
you trust
gun.
the Feige. It's not lit right now for me in my
It's
basement.
yeah, it's as I've said, it's flickering. We might need a repairman to come in at some
It's
point,
flickering.
but
You know what? This is a shared basement. I can't have my own basement. So yes, it's on but flickering. Or I no,
but
I turn
you
it
know what
off
it is?
when I'm in the
It's a
basement.
passive aggressive. Exactly. It's
Yes.
like we have the toilet paper roll, and every time
Yes.
we go in there, it's like I'm an over guy, you're an under guy, or something. It's like I come into the basement, I turn all the lights on. You come into the basement, you turn like 4 to 5 on.
Okay, so let's do a sign inventory. James
Yeah.
Gunn. Trust the gun.
Trust
On.
the gun. It's on.
Is it
For
the
sure.
biggest sign in the basement right now?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I think so. Feige, that's the passive aggressive toilet bowl
Passive
toilet paper
aggressive, totally.
analogy.
Yeah.
John Watts has the sauce. Newest sign in the
Right now,
basement.
it's on new
And
sign
on.
alert. Yep.
And is there anything else? Is there anything else?
Do we must have something for Filoni and Favreau.
Yes. Like they're like it's like
They're a team. It's a double sign.
yeah. Filoni, Favreau, like it's almost like I want to have like it's not even a sign, it's like a little like piece of art. It's like I have the Infinity Gauntlet here, or
Yeah.
if you get like the Tony Stark has a heart thing. It's like I want like a break in case of emergency.
Like
Filoni,
something on the
Favreau.
mantle
Yes.
for them or something.
Because
Yeah.
it's like, listen, no matter what happens with Star Wars, these two are always there. And I just want to remember that like we're not fucked until those guys get involved and it sucks, then we're fucked.
And then what about like Matt Reeves? Does he get his own sign? Because he works under gun, but he's in his own crime saga, you know? And I feel like he deserves his own sign.
I was thinking Matt Reeves, the sign. I don't want to say it's shipped. I think it's here. I think it, you know what? We're gonna open it up next week.
You know what? It's here, but I'm not sure it came with the batteries necessary to turn it on, because the Batman Part 2, we don't know what is going on with this movie. They just delayed it another year. Dude, it's going to be 7 years between the Batman Part 1 and the Batman Part 2. Christopher Nolan's Batman trilogy took 7 years from Batman Begins to The Dark Knight Rises. Robert Pattinson just said, I might be retired by the end the Batman trilogy's done. That might be legitimately true if it's 14 years as a whole. So right now, I love Matt Reeves. I love what he did with honestly Cloverfield, the Planet of the Apes movies. I love everything he did before Batman. Obviously love Batman and the universe he created here. He wasn't like writing the Penguin or anything. He oversaw everything, but we can't give him total credit for the Penguin. I think the sign has arrived, but like they forgot to include the remote. I
got it for you, Bob. The sign arrived. We put it up because it's fucking Matt Reeves. We're just sucking the we went to war with the Golden Globes over the Penguin, which he oversaw, and obviously the Batman is good, and I think it gets better the more you rewatch it. It's like I believe in Matt Reeves as the sign, right?
Yep.
But they sent us like the European plug, so we have to get an adapter. And the adapter is the Batman too. So it's gonna, and we literally cannot turn the sign on until we get the adapter, which happens to be the exact day Batman 2 comes out.
And honestly, I'm not even going to say it's the day Batman 2 comes out. I'm going to say it's the day they start filming.
Yes.
At that point, it's like, all right, we're filming. The show's on the road. Here we go. Right now, and I know he's going through personal stuff. He mentioned it on the Golden Globe red carpet. God bless Matt Reeves. I love him like a brother. I hope he's doing well. But let's get this show on the road. I don't want this to become a George R.R. Martin thing where people are making jokes and it becomes a meme. I don't want Batman to be a laughing stock of, oh, yeah, we'll get that movie when fucking pigs fly. Like, come on. It's time. You said you wanted to film this year. Let's start filming, or next year, or whatever it is. Let's get that script in. Let's find out who the villain is. Let's get a little tease. Give us a little tease. Give us a little taste, Matt Reeves.
Good thing the basement was built after the whole Game of Thrones, because the George R. R. Martin sign we would have had to then after. Well, I mean, but you can't even blame him for the way
I would have shattered that thing with an axe like fucking Jim Gordon at the end of The Dark Knight.
I mean, you can't blame him for the way it ended, because he was very much like, this wasn't my stuff. But it's also because he hasn't written. And then the House of the Dragon stuff that we went through this last year, that might have been,
which wasn't as bad. It's that's still redeemable. The House of the Dragon sign, it's for sure flick. We don't turn that one on right now, but there's a chance that one will come back. That one's in the garage. if we're being honest.
Yes, definitely.
But there's a chance that could come back out. Like if this flops, if this finale flops, maybe we take down the John Watts has the Saw sign. There's a chance the House of the Dragon one can go on those pegs one day.
Yeah, and that was my biggest thing is I can't have a John Watts has the Saw sign up in the basement and just be like, Matt Reeves, you don't get anything. Like, if you're saying a guy has the legit sauce, I have to at least say.
I'll be honest too. He put out a movie this year that I didn't see that people didn't love, but people also didn't hate it. They didn't hate it. It was, I think it was called Wolves. It was the one with like Brad Pitt and George Clooney.
Robbie, you just brought a side into our basement here, and it's I didn't even know this was going on.
Yeah, so John Watts did make this movie, but but here's the issue. It was Apple TV Plus put it straight to Apple TV Plus, and like they're the worst with their advertising.
I don't get up like at the streaming services. I'm very lenient. I give passes with
he produced The Old Man too, John Watts. That was a fucking great show with Jeff Bridges.
We don't give producer stuff here, Bob. We go,
no, you're
writer,
right.
Director.
You're right. You know what? That was me trying to pad his record a little bit.
Skeleton Crew got a 7.2 on IMDb. I don't think that's right.
No, it should be higher. It should be higher, I think. Skeleton Crew is an 8.0 at least.
Yes. Well, so
we'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Knock on wood.
And I do have for the other show that we'll be talking about a request at the end of it. So we'll get to that.
Okay.
Our review will come after the finale, which I didn't even think could fuck up. And it led to a 15-minute discussion about fictional signs that people listening and watching are like, what the fuck are the boys talking about right now?
I hope there's a first-time listener that are like, do they actually have a shared basement where they have these signs? Like, what the fuck are they talking? We don't, but maybe one day we will. So fan art will have to suffice for now.
Man, if they could have only seen how bright the Trust the Feige sign was in like 2019 to 20, that was our
we had to go back and get like soft light bulbs for it because it was too bright.
That was all we had in the basement. That was the first thing. Endgame was our Endgame predictions, Endgame reaction. First 2 episodes together.
It was so bright you would have thought the basement was an insane asylum with fluorescent lights.
It was the sun. You thought it was the sun when you went in. That's all it said. And then after like the 6th MCU show, once Secret Wars came out or Secret Invasion, that was the end of. I'm not even going.
And that was a slow crumble too. Because first episode, we're like, all right, they killed Maria Hill. Holy fuck, they shouldn't have done that. But we got Ben Mendo, we got Samuel L. Jackson. There's still maybe this show is just going to mean that much to the MCU. Maybe it's going to have that much of an impact and effect. And by the end, they're like, and by the way, Don Cheadle never fucking loved Tony Stark. He was a fucking fake the whole time. And Emilia Clarke has Dave Bautista's arm, and she's the strongest superhero you've ever heard of. And we're never going to acknowledge her ever again, nor are we going to acknowledge that Nick Fury has a wife. Don't get me started.
Well, the only reason that light you turn it on is because of Deadpool and Wolverine. And that was a project.
Great movie.
I don't know how much Feige had to do with the first 2 Deadpools. I believe Ryan Reynolds made that sign. Ryan Reynolds might get a sign in the basement before it's all said and done.
He may. And I blogged a thing about him. Apparently, Nice Pool was based on the director that his wife is feuding with because he's got a man bun, and he commented on like Lady Pool's pregnancy. And I said they might have Streisand affect himself with that because like I didn't think it was based on that director. But now when I watch it, I'm going to think about that. And I think it makes it funnier.
I thought it was based on Jenks. Again, that guy is Jenks.
With the ponytail, with the bun and everything. Yeah. All right. Before we get on to the Creature Commandos finale, let's tell everyone about Turtle Beach. Clem, you know how much I love Turtle Beach, how much I love this sponsor. Can you see it on the screen? There it is.
That Turtle is a Beach. Core memory of Robbie Fox right there.
Oh
core
my
memory.
God. Growing up, this was more valuable than the gold on Ad-Atten. It was the Turtle Beach headset. If you weren't playing Turtle Beach, you weren't playing at all. Winter has arrived, but don't panic. It's not a bad thing. It's an excuse to cancel all plans, slap on your Turtle Beach headset, and game until the sun decides to come back up. For a marathon winter gaming session, you're going to want the world's most comfortable headset with human hearing technology. Turtle Beach's new Gen 3 Stealth 700 headset picks up so much crystal clear sound, it's basically cheating. It's not, but it's basically cheating. And if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying, especially in video games nowadays with all the hackers, the people trying to get you through walls and stuff. They've got the advantages already. You need to get your legal advantage with Turtle Beach. Best of all, it's the industry's first ever cross-play dual wireless transmitter system, which means you can seamlessly switch between your consoles and computer with the click of a button. Gets even better as well. While being connected to your console, the Stealth 700 can connect to your phone for music streaming or taking calls at the same time. It's one in all. You know, you got everything in one headset. It's the best. I absolutely love the Turtle Beach. It's time to spend that Christmas money on something you actually love, like Turtle Beach. Head to turtlebeach.com and use code BASEMENT for 10% off your entire order. That's 10% off your entire order at turtlebeach.com with the promo code BASEMENT. It truly is the best gaming headset on the market. I swear by it. I absolutely love it. And who knows? Gaming streams may be coming soon. Clem, I tried Marvel Rivals this weekend. I downloaded it on my PS5. I did the tutorial. I played a few games, and I am delighted to report, like you said, it's not too difficult. Like, you can pick it up and play. You might not be the best, but it's playable. Like, there's some games like the Diablo games of the world. I can't even begin to know where to click and do that stuff. So I told Nick Hamilton next week I would like to do my first ever Marvel Rival stream. Follow on Twitter and obviously on YouTube and everything. I'll try to make sure it's on the My Mom's Basement YouTube. But I want to do like a Marvel Rivals stream either Monday or Tuesday. So follow along at Robbie Barstool on Twitter. I'll definitely let you know when it's happening then. We just got to figure out the tech, but it's happening, people. Finally, years in the making, video game streams from My Mom's Basement.
Throw a Turtle Beach on that boy and get his ass out in the field right now. That's what we need. A lot of talk about, lights in the basement. Every basement has headsets. That's a necessity.
Yes.
And we are only Turtle Beach here.
Did you notice I also got a new normal headset?
Yes.
Blue.
Yes, I did. Big times in the Fox household.
I did the blue thing, yeah. Because I lost my headphones when doing Surviving Barstool and I got eliminated. And even worse, spoilers if you didn't know I was eliminated at this point, even worse, then they couldn't find him in the Chicago office, so I had to get airport ones. Nobody likes airport ones. You need, like, for gaming, you need a legit Turtle Beach. For life, you need, like, legit, like, Bose or, like, a normal brand, not just airport. It was, like, fresh air headphones, whatever the hell it was. It was not good. Speaking of things that are good, though, Creature Commandos finale, A Very Funny Monster was the episode title. Finally, we get the Nina origin in this one. We've gone through all the creatures at this point. Nina was the last one on the list. A very good finale. I didn't know it was the finale, but to be honest, I loved it. It was kind of just like balls to the wall, a lot of action, a lot of things to wrap up. So they got through it and wrapped all of those things up. Didn't make us cry. Didn't hit my feels too much. Made me laugh a lot. Made me excited about the action. I thought it was all great. What about you?
I'm with you on basically everything there. However, babies spasming and then mutating, not cool, James Gunn. So
that was true.
That was bad, Bob. And
that was vibes of the scene in Guardians 3 when you see the evolution happening and it's clearly like hurting the animal so much and you're just like, ooh, you cringe a little bit. Yeah.
We had 3 weeks ago, we had the kids in the scene, or 2 weeks ago. Last week we had what was the scene? There was a scene last week that I did not like, that I had
Frankenstein killing the old lady was
really
bad.
Did not like that. So we've got kids, we got old ladies, and now we have like a baby basically, and she's spasming.
The lungs are outside of her body, which as soon as they say that, you're like, oh, it's Nina, if you didn't put it together already by that point. But I liked how they showed it. Like, I liked her origin. I liked the stuff with her dad where he figured out how she could sort of try to live a normal life and she could only breathe underwater because her lungs outside of her body are gills and whatnot. Seeing that she was trying to play lacrosse, she was just like so fascinated. What is that sport? And she's so bright-eyed. And then the kids putting her down, that you felt really bad when they're like making her say a ribbit. They're calling her a fucking frog. Hear me out. By the end of the show, when she's diving in trying to kill the princess, sup?
Bob,
I know I said it about the bride last week, but like Nina, sup?
hey, I honestly wasn't on that page with you, but I'm happy I'm not the only guy making these claims anymore.
It
My
made
baby
me be
boy's
like, all
growing
right,
up.
maybe I understand the shape of water a little more now.
uh, kind of along those lines, I have a theory about this, and granted,
Okay.
it was a little more. I put this down in the beginning when she's first born, and I'm like, well, this is clearly Nina. And then obviously, it seems like the mutation happens after her dad injects her with all the shit. But maybe it was like a mutation that was ready to take, and it just needed to get happen. Theory here:
Okay.
did Nina's mom fuck Aquaman, and this isn't even that guy's daughter to begin with?
I love that theory.
You like that theory,
I
right?
love that theory. That's a good theory.
Aquaman exists in this world.
But it's sad to imagine that this might be the bastard daughter of Aquaman who is dead.
But the dad's dead too. Like it's just
Rest in peace.
It's a tragedy. It's essentially
True.
a Shakespearean
The dad
tragedy.
dying, that was sad too. That was the dad trying to just like get out in front of his daughter and tell her he accepts her and whatnot, and boom, shot. That was fucking crazy.
And like honestly, I kind of throughout the series was like, I appreciated Nina for like she seemed like a nice person.
Yeah, she was okay. Whatever. She was never a standout.
But she was like also like, yeah, I'd be like, all right, enough Nina, enough Nina. By the end, I'm like, oh no, Nina was like the nicest person of them all. Yeah. And she was like the one legit good person there was.
And it's sad that it seems like she's like actually dead. Like I don't think they're gonna bring her back. I think she's dead.
I think you have to leave her dead. The fact that the stuff with her dad, she had such a sad life. The mom left because of her. Just a brutal. I almost feel bad now for just being. I just hand waved Nina all season. Like, get her off the screen, get her out. In related news, though, the bride, like when she's like, you just killed like the best person ever. The bride fucking rules. I think she's the big winner of this season.
She's the best character on the show, I think, easily. Even in the beginning, when Frankenstein comes up. He's in the cab at first, almost like a Deadpool type scene where he's talking to the cab driver about his problems, and the cab driver's just like ready to friggin' jump out of the front seat. And he crawls up that castle. The second she sees him, it's not a big dramatic scene. She just fucking starts shooting his ass. She's putting bullets in his body, walks right up to him, shoots him again. That was awesome. Like that was such a good way to play it after the entire season focused on him trying to get back to her. She's like, you're a fucking stalker. Oh. Boom. That just like cemented her as my favorite character on this show, I think. And there's been a lot of good characters. I didn't think I would really like give a shit about a lot of the characters on this show. James Gunn proved me wrong again. The Bride, I loved your backstory. I loved the Frankenstein stuff. I loved this week. I loved last week. And when she becomes more of a badass, I love the Phosphorus backstory where he's got that cool gang that looks like the Batman Forever gang and shit. Like there's some great characters on the show. Rick Flag Sr., I'm excited to see in Superman now. Frankenstein was great. Who would have thought that we're watching a DC show and we're like, Frankenstein is awesome.
Yeah, and even G.I. Robot, who was like our dude because he hates Nazis.
G.I. Robot, I forgot about.
And he's amazing. Back. He's back. I thought he was dead.
Bigger than ever. Yeah,
bigger than ever. So I was just tickle pink. I was tickle pink with this entire season, series, whatever you want to call it. And then like the whole ending and the twist, we saw you with
Princess.
Clayface.
Yeah, they think they're being set up. Waller and Diebeard call in, and they're like, "We've made a mistake. You know, she was killed for nothing." You think, "Oh, was she?" But you're like, no, because the woman that they're looking at, that the head was snapped and whatnot, that was all the Clayface Frankenstein shit, and they're not aware of that. So I did like that. Was almost like felt like an Agatha Christie style like ending where they're like, but I put it together here, and they're in the library and everything. The animation of the final gunshot in the princess's forehead, that was badass. That was another thing that made me out loud be like, oh shit, like the bullet going through the blood splatter. I had one more note of a funny line. I thought it was very funny when the Bride called Phosphorus Ghost Rider. It's one of those like silly, like we're cross referencing, making jokes like that. I know people got annoyed when they reference Batman and like Black Widow and stuff. I'm probably the target audience for that. I'm the nerd that will Rick Dalton at things like that. And I know it's stupid. I know it's a cheap pop in wrestling terms, but I don't give a shit. I laugh.
I'm not going to lie to you, Bob. If a baseball game and it's like the Cubs beat the Mets 13-10 and they're like, the Bears kicked the field goal to win, I love that shit. There's just certain jokes that just play with certain people. That plays with me every single time. So I'm with you.
So very good stuff. People are kind of like dissecting one of the lines that Phosphorus said, where he said it's been like 15 years since I've touched or felt a touch or something like that. And they're saying, well, it certainly seemed like Batman was around when he was turned into Phosphorus. So is the DCU's Batman now confirmed to have been around for 15 years? I don't know if it's confirmation. I think a lot of the stuff, especially on the cartoons, is canon until they say otherwise. You know, where it's like, sure, this is the story. They might change it in the future. Rick Flag's not going to have gray hair and Superman and stuff like that. I do think by the time the DCU Batman comes into the picture, if he's still going to be a separate Batman than Robert Pattinson, which we don't know. Matt Reeves was asked about that on the red carpet. He was like, we'll see what makes the most sense for the story. Andy Muschietti, or however you say his last name, who made The Flash and is supposed to direct the DCU Batman movie, he's still saying it's going to be separate. His movie was pitched as Batman and his son, Damian Wayne. So you would imagine he might not be an old Batman, but it makes sense that Batman might be around for 15 years in the DCU. I like the idea of having separate Batman. I know it might be confusing for some people. I love the idea of having a solo, gritty, real-world Pattinson Batman and a fantastical Batman who wears blue and gray and has the Boy Wonder by his side and fights people like Dr. Phosphorus and Clayface and Mr. Freeze and Poison Ivy. Give me a fantastical side of Batman that you could take your kids to see, and we can get the next generation interested in Batman as well. And then give me the fucking stuff that could be rated R, basically, with how dark it is in the epic crime saga. That's my take.
I'm fine with it either way. I remember when we first heard that this might be the case, it was like, all right, guys, this is a lot. But this is also like coming off of all the shit with the Snyder films and all these different, things existing. So it's a reset. I'm excited. That's all you could ask for DC.
I'm excited too.
I'll tell you,
King Shark. We forgot to mention King Shark.
King
part
Shark,
of the new
yes.
team. So Creature Commandos season 2 is confirmed. They're already making season 2. And at the end, the bride is shown like her new team. I didn't recognize a few of the background people. I'm sure they're comic people, that, obscure characters like some of the ones they featured on this that people probably geeked out about. But King Shark is the one I think most people are very excited about. Not voiced by Sylvester Stallone. Unfortunately, they didn't get him back for the cartoon, but I'm just happy to have King Shark. It's not like that voice is like the most important. He sounds like this. He talks like this. Anyone could do that.
Yeah, I was like, I got a message on my phone, so I looked at it, and then I saw he was on the screen. I'm like, oh shit, did I miss like some big heavy hitters coming? And then I went back. I'm like, oh, there's probably a couple people.
You're like, no. King Shark is the heavy hitter.
Oh fuck! Because there was also like post credit scene, and I thought that was going to be the fuck.
Yes,
and
not really,
which is fine.
It was kind of just a whatever. Yeah,
I almost would rather them not. I want that to be Marvel's thing at this. So remember
James
said
kind of said that too. He was like, it'll just be like a fun thing for the audience.
Yeah, because we were saying, would we want them to do that? And it does feel kind of like taken on someone else's thing, whether it's Star Wars, DC, Marvel has kind of put their claim on that.
It does, but at the same time, it's such a good way to tease next projects. Like comic books sometimes have like in the next issue, and it'll have a little, Speaking of comics, by the way, still going strong on Absolute Batman. Issue 4 just dropped this week. And issue 4, if you're not in on this Batman yet, I've been talking about it on the show. It's like a badass blue collar Batman. He's built like fucking Brock Lesnar, as you can see on the cover here. Get in early because you could still get the first 3 issues. They're still, face value, $5 a piece. Issue 4 goes back and it's like, all right, we're going to take a break from this arc before we finish. It's a 6-issue arc altogether. But this is a break, and they have a totally new artist in doing the year 1 for this weird Batman. And this, I'll show it. Maybe I could just get people interested in this issue.
Tell it to him, Bob.
This Batman is testing things out and dressing more like a real bat. He has like silicone fangs that have like a sedative in them. So he's biting people on the throat, like you can see in this panel. It's very cool art in this. Scratching people with claws. He's biting people here. And then they're like passing out or whatever. And then he goes back to the Batcave and he basically says to himself, he's like, this is fucking stupid. I shouldn't be doing this. And realizes basically instead of doing all this hokey shit, he should just hit the gym and start pumping some iron and become a strong ass Batman. He confronts Joe Chill as a child in this. tells him I fucking hate you, and then the issue ends with him going into Joe Chill. Spoilers, but I feel like it's a good tease. He goes into Joe Chill as an adult, goes to confront him as a prisoner. Cool stuff. Just cool ass artwork. Not all the artwork looks like this because there was a guest artist on issue 4, but yeah, go support your local comic store. Pick up some absolute Batmans. It's been fun. Me and Clemmer take a walk to the comic book store once a month. Jose joins us on some of them, and yeah, it's good stuff. It feels fun to be back in on comics. I love they brought the old DC logo back. There's a little Creature Commandos ad on the back for you.
I dig it, man.
Oh, and here, let me grab the variant cover, because the variant cover is even cooler. I'm not a big variant cover guy, but this one looks so cool. And I got to admit, sort of looks like a Mets-styled variant cover.
A little bit of anger in that voice. Ever since Juan Soto came here, I get a little bit more anger in the voice of Yankees fans, because they actually had to live with one guy leaving their team for once. God forbid. God forbid. I love Bob Fox is really getting excited right now with these comic books. That's dope.
Blue and orange.
Yeah.
And that's the axe that is on his chest.
Yeah, that's
so the bat comes off the chest, the ears come off and become knives. He's a little more brutal than Batman. Still doesn't kill, but he'll fucking he'll cut your arms off and tell you where the hospital is and be like, I think the hospital's 3 blocks that way. It might be 3 blocks that way. Good luck. Where it's like, I don't know. You're saying you don't kill, but you might have killed that guy.
I got it. Maybe when the series ends, we'll have a Clemmer. I just want to hear Clemmer get his excited voice on and just break it all down, because I know he's
he's in on it. He's very in on it. That's it for Skeleton Crew and Creature Commandos this week. Do you want to talk a little surviving Barstool before we get out of here?
Yes, and also for just because we wrapped it up, and I said with the IMDb rating for Skeleton Crew, IMDb for this one 7.9.
Oh yeah.
Now, and I saw you were able to negotiate this, so thank you. Ball scale. Our boy Glenny Balls, rest in power.
We have the ball scale, kind of rest in power, because the Unnamed show today, they confirmed what I already knew. I didn't want to announce it. Only stands will continue at Barstool with Glenny Balls.
Nice.
Huge news.
Huge news.
So yeah, he's no longer full-time, but Glenny Balls will still kind of be in the mix. But I negotiated a deal where Barstool keeps the ball scale IP. On Creature Commandos ball scale, it's interesting. Obviously, we've said there's a lower ceiling with animation for the two of us, I think. I would say if James Gunn's The Suicide Squad was 4 balls and Peacemaker was 4.5 balls, because I really liked Peacemaker, I would say Creature Commandos is a solid 3.5 balls.
Okay. How about this?
And people might hear 3.5 and think harsh, but I think that's pretty good.
I don't know what I had for Peacemaker and Suicide Squad, but I'm going 4.25.
Okay.
I really liked it, and I'm kind of bummed it's done, and I'm happy having wrapped it all up, and I didn't feel a lot of the maybe it's just like the short run times. There was a lot of things I just loved about it. So
you know what? You're convinced me. I'm going 3.75. I'm correct in my ball scale. I'm going 3.75 because as I'm thinking about it, if I compare
adjusting
it to
your balls,
cartoons, adjusting my balls, if I compare it to other cartoons, I liked it a lot more than the last season of Invincible, to be honest, like a lot more, significantly more. So, yeah, 3.75. I'll go.
Fair enough.
Now, as far as surviving Barstool goes, what a week. Spoilers for surviving Barstool if you're not caught up. Speaking of catching up, I was sending you a funny text from my mom. My mom would text me like, oh my God, is Kirk still pissed at people? And I was like, big time. She's like, are they staying at a hotel? I'm like, nope, Airbnb. She's like, does Kelly talk to Rhea after this? I'm like, yep, they're super close. They're very I loved last night, 9 p.m. Is Biz as nice as he seems? I was like, yep, he's the absolute best. I think she's got a crush on Biz or something after all those Tommy John ads. But it is an amazing show that is coming down to an awesome conclusion with the Pink Wedding. People going left and right. I know a lot of people on the show are mad. The Unnamed show we watched today was like an hour-long fight between Kirk, Whit, and Dave.
Yeah.
And the game is rigged and stuff. As someone that was eliminated so early, it almost feels like I'm so removed from the show that obviously I'm not mad about personal connections in this. It had no effect on me. I'm just a viewer, and as a viewing experience, it is amazing. It's like the best show on TV where we get excited for it. It's 7:55 and we're like, we're Dave Chappelle. You got any more of that surviving Barstool?
Yeah, it's been an absolute roller coaster. The pink wedding was, I think it sounds like the guys who did it, like Jeff and I saw Tommy, have said that they thought it was gonna be good and they somehow surpassed it the way it all broke out. I mean,
there was tears. There was, the challenges were great. I liked, some people were saying there shouldn't be challenges that are just left to chance, like the dice game. I like that. I think that's chaos thrown into the game. And I'm thinking if I were in this, I would need challenges like that, which maybe that's bad. It's like, maybe you should be eliminated if you can't win challenges, but I got shaky hands. That thing with the coins and the keys, I'd be like,
No, I'm with you. And whether, like, if I'm watching another reality game show like The Challenge or something, there's times where there's physical, there's times where there's mental, and then there's times where there's just straight luck. And I kind of like all three because it gives everyone a shot. And then all that does is lead to more chaos in the elimination and drama side of things, which is why everyone watches this shit, because we're all sick and twisted people that love watching people, stab each other in the back and combat it. Yeah. The thing that was almost lost, and they couldn't do it because obviously you have to break it up and you have episodes and ads and all that. If they could have just made the pink wedding a 2-hour episode, because you have to think how much those people's heads, because you forget by the end of the third game with the dice, those people have been there and just,
so that whole thing, I was talking to like everyone that was involved in that. We were talking about it in the office. That was like over 6 hours. That whole pink wedding, the voting process, and nobody was allowed to leave the turf unless you had to go to the bathroom. So it's like people are running waters onto the turf for people. People are running little sandwiches or cookies onto the turf. Like nobody was eating. Everyone's sleep deprived. That seemed like a total stressor. Another one of those moments. I know I've said this on My Mom's Basement, said it on the rundown with you this week. Another moment where I was like, why did everyone say before the game, like, Robbie Fox is a cakewalk to the finals. This kid's he's so nice. He's just what does that have to do with surviving Barstool? It's like, sure, maybe people would, hypothetically, the thought was maybe they would feel bad to vote me out or something because I'm nice. But watching this, I'm like, oh, that was, everyone fucked me before the game because I had no shot. It wasn't like, oh, they fucked me, I would have made it. It was like, no, they fucked me. Maybe I would have made it a little further, but I certainly shouldn't have been a big target because the anxious me, you think I would have handled the pink wedding well? I think I would have crumbled. I would have crumbled, absolutely. Yeah. And there was a little talk about me on the Unnamed show this week because there was talk that the game was rigged in Dave and Dan's favor. Kirk and Whitney were saying this. Personally, I didn't feel that way. They were saying, there's X amount of people that would never vote Dave off, never vote Dan off. And then they started going down the list. And I was like, oh shit, are they going to get to my name? And they're going to be like, of course he would never vote Dave off. That one is more complicated than Dan. Dave, obviously, if you're me, I think my smartest strategy going in was align myself with Dave, who I know I have this pre-existing Disney Boys type relationship with, and try to bring Dave to the finals, because you would think nobody wants to give the 100 millionaire $250,000 of his own money. I think I'm not the only one with that strategy. I think half the people playing that game probably had the exact same strategy as me. So it's like, would I ever vote Dave off? I think I could have been convinced in the right scenario. I think it would have taken a lot of convincing. I think if Rhea and Roan and maybe Francis and some of my friends on the game were like, we have to do this right now, I think they probably could have convinced me. That's a little trickier. Dan, I definitely would have voted off. Whitney was saying oh, Robbie would have never voted Dan off in a million years. No disrespect to Dan, but we don't have the relationship like me and Dave do. So there's no doubt I would have voted him off. When it was down to, it was Dan, Whitney, and Will, who I knew was the alliance on my tribe early on, the Moon Tribe. And then left was me, Megan making money, Mincy, and Wallow. I think I talked about this when we talked about my elimination. At that point, my best play was to try to vote Dan, Will, or Whit out, because they seemed like the obvious alliance. I caught them talking in a room privately the night before they voted me out and was like, well, fuck. I know I'm not in on this, even though they're telling me that. And I never really trusted Dan at any, like I trusted him to a degree, but there's a lot of conversations we had on camera where as soon as he walked away, I would look at the camera and go, I don't know if I could believe any of that. Like I knew my ass was in the jackpot early.
Yep.
I didn't think I could. I knew that Mincy was basically Megan's puppet in our eyes. We were like, Megan has the closest relationship with Mince, so she can convince him to vote wherever. Wallow at this point, I had spoken 2 words to in my whole life, and maybe I should have tried to get closer to him for the game. But he was closest with Big Cat out of everyone at Barstool, let alone our tribe. So I was like, I can't turn Wallow on the one alliance he might have. And the other person was, who did I say? It was Megan, Mincy, Wallow. Oh, and me. Maybe we could have all 4 of us aligned and voted somebody out. I just didn't think I could convince anybody of that. So that was, I was like, maybe my best place loyalty. But yeah, I would have voted Dan out. Maybe I would have voted Dave out. That one's more complicated. I wouldn't have liked to vote Dave out. I would have liked to, in an ideal world, me and Dave go to the finals together and I get voted the winner.
Dave's complicated because you see how he reacted to Jerry last time. And you do say, I don't want to make my life a living hell at work.
Not even that. It's how he reacted to Team KFC back in the day. I have my own PTSD, you know? I'm like, we're in a great spot. We're in the best spot we've ever been. Why would I want to turn my back on that? But yeah, like in the right scenario, I think I could have been convinced of it. We'll never know that because the cookie didn't crumble that way. But I thought that was it was an interesting discussion. I do personally, I don't feel like the game was rigged because Dave and Dan were in it and they were in an alliance. And obviously they have a power dynamic over us, but they were in the game last year and they both got voted out right away last year. It's something that the competitors have to be conscious of. And if they're not conscious of it, I feel like it's more on the competitors than Dave and Dan. It's no secret that they're our bosses.
Everyone has to go in like Dave. When Dave goes in, he goes to win. That's just how his mindset is. And Dan says that was his mindset this year, where last year was kind of just whatever. And they made it far. And
Dave was saying to them this week, he was like, if you would have went for Rhea before the pink wedding, I wouldn't have had numbers. And it's like, like a very specific thing a very specific series of events had to happen to be in the scenario we're in now. I don't think it was as easy as like Dave and Dan are the bosses. So obviously they were going to make it this far.
When they had the merge, that's when they had their chance to start picking those people off one by one, like you said with Rhea. They decided not to. Obviously the Rico idol passing was like an crazy reality TV moment, but as you see,
it felt like real reality TV, like a historic reality TV moment.
Yes, that was wild.
Kirk being like, what the fuck are you doing? And then when he goes back, his little I'm gonna ruin your fucking life, like that Dave put in another one bites the dust video. The Kirk lines, the Kirk walking up to Rico and being like, I'm going to tell your wife you're sleeping with someone at work. And then Rob in the background goes, Jesus Christ.
And I mean, like through this all the angry competitors who are coming out at Dave, the bussing guys going at him, Wick going at him, Kirk, everything. And Dave is just like, you only make him stronger when you let him know how much you hate him.
Unfortunately, he's loving it. It's like whole making him angry.
We've seen this, the Go Prez Go days, right? And this is like Dave doesn't always interact with people at Barstool. He usually has his enemies outside of Barstool. But when there's something that's like not seriously contentious, but something like this, and he has to just get the groundswell of support, he will then, I got my Go Prez Go people. And like he thrives off this. He fucking gets off.
Tommy whip up a press release for him. Yeah.
Oh, once the press release comes out, it's already too late.
This is unfortunately, there's some Batman comics. My favorite Batman comic from back in the day, the Frank Miller, The Dark Knight Returns, where he's fighting this mutant in the mud. And he's like, you don't realize this isn't the mud. This is an operating table. And I'm the surgeon. Dave is the surgeon. Like this is where he thrives. Oh, you think you adapted to the darkness. He was born in it. Okay. If we didn't get enough Batman references on this pod, I'll keep them coming. I have more left in the utility belt. Okay. I have more. I did watch the entire Dark Knight trilogy in between the recording of the last episode. It's 2025, you got to like christen the year by just getting a watch through. And tell you what, it gets better every time. All three movies, the entire experience gets better every time. The Dark Knight specifically, every time I watch that movie, it gets better. But the trilogy, once you do it, it's like I was thinking about watching The Dark Knight. Lady Fox was like offered to watch them with me. So I was like, all right, you don't get that offer every day. Let's watch the whole trilogy. She gave me an inch, I took a mile.
Yeah, exactly. She's like, all right, I have to be very careful how you answer. I appreciate you getting the Dark Knight in at the last minute there too, because I was like, we're gonna go the whole episode. You got it in.
No, I think we had I worked one in with the hitting the sign.
Oh yeah, that's true.
I made sure we weren't gonna miss that opportunity. It's
our
Where's Waldo at this point. it's our Where's Waldo, but it's like a very obvious, like Waldo's on the front page of everything.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. That was My Mom's Basement for January 10th, Friday, January 10th. Hopefully everyone has a great weekend. Next week, we've got the Skeleton Crew finale. Maybe we'll do an earlier episode. Well, no, because we've got Surviving Barstool next week. So I want to be able to recap that.
Finale,
so I think still Friday. Or is it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday next week? We'll see. It'll be the day after Surviving Barstool ends because Skeleton Crew will be wrapped up by then. And we're going to want to talk about the entire show when everything's wrapped up. So thanks for listening. We'll see you then.